I was born on 17th March 1920. My father's name was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. My grandfather's youngest brother, Khan Sahib Abdul Rashid, had set up a school called ME School. This was the only English school in our area. Later it became a high school and it still exists. I studied in this school till I completed my 3rd grade. Then I went to Gopalganj to stay with my father and enrolled in Gopalganj Public High School. My mother's name is Saira Khatun. She would never stay with my father in town. She would look after our property. She used to say, my father gave me his property so that I could stay in our home. If I leave for the city, no candle will light up the house, and we will displease him. My maternal and paternal grandfathers' houses were adjacent to each other, and I usually dwelled at my grandfather's house. I stayed with my father and began my education with him. I used to sleep with my father as well. Since I was the eldest son, I used to get all his love. His second brother had no children, and his youngest brother had only one son. My cousin was conferred the title of Khan Sahib and became a member of the Provincial Assembly of East Pakistan when General Ayub Khan became president. He was also a member of the district board. His name is Sheikh Musharraf Hussain. I used to play a lot and sing and was very proficient in Tomodachi, a kind of folk dance. Afflicted by beriberi, my heart became very weak. My father took me to Kolkata for treatment. He consulted the most famous Kolkata physicians, Shibabada Batterjee, A.K. Roy Chaudhary, and others, and followed a treatment regimen they had devised for me for over 2 years. In 1936, my father was transferred to Madaripur as a Sheristar. Since I was still ill, he had my mother come over to be with us. In 1936, my eyes started to fail me. I was suffering from glaucoma. At the advice of our local physicians, my father took me to Kolkata once more for treatment. At this time, I had enrolled in Madaripur High School and was in grade 7. In Kolkata, we consulted Dr. T. Ahmed. My sister was staying in Kolkata then. After the eye operation, I returned to Madaripur, but had nothing much to do for some time. No studies and no sports for me. Going to meetings in the evening was the only diversion I had. This was the time of the Swadeshi movement. Madaripur's Purna Das was then terrorizing the British. The Swadeshi movement for self-rule had spread to every part of the Madaripur and Gopalganj. It seemed to me that Subhash Bose's party was the most powerful of all political parties in Madaripur. Boys who were still in their teens flocked to join it. When some of the party people saw me attending their meetings regularly, they became interested in me. I began to harbor negative ideas about the British in my mind. The English, I felt, had no right to stay in our country. We had to achieve independence. I too became an admirer of Mr. Bose and started traveling back and forth between Gopalganj and Madaripur to attend meetings. I also began to mix with the people in the Swadeshi movement. Then the SDO of Gopalganj had cautioned my grandfather, Khan Sahib, is a story I came to know later. I resumed studies in 1937. However, I didn't go back to my old school since my friends there had moved far ahead of me in their studies. My father had admitted me to Gopalganj Mission School. He himself went back to town. He engaged Qazi Abdul Ahmed as a tutor. He even set aside a room in our house for him. My father had built the Gopalganj house himself. My tutor established a Muslim Welfare Association, a society to help poor students in Gopalganj. He enlisted our help to collect alms from all over the Muslim part of town for this cause. He used to go from door to door every Friday for this. He would then sell the rice and with the money collected help buy students and meet examination and other expenses. He would search all over town to find houses where these boys could stay, paying for their lodging by tutoring the children in their families. I had to do a lot of work for him, but he died suddenly of tuberculosis. I then took over the society and looked after it for a long time. Another Muslim teacher used to keep track of the money I collected. He became the president and I the general secretary of the society. If any Muslim refused to help us, we would join forces to make him pay his share. In some cases, we resorted to having such people's houses pelted with stones at night. My father often punished me for following this policy. However, he would not prevent me from working for the society itself. I used to play a lot. I especially enjoyed playing football, volleyball, and hockey. Although I wasn't very good at these games, I used to play for the school team. At this time, I really wasn't active in politics.